Michigan real estate record retention. Question 1. During an open house in Dearborn, a listing licensee encounters a rule involving the additional pre-licensure education associated with an individual broker applicant. Which response follows Michigan law, while the file concerns a mixed-use building, a closing statement, and a referral arrangement? Option A, 90 hours beyond salesperson education. Option B, no additional education. Option C, 40 hours total including salesperson education. Option D, 10 hours of advertising only. The correct answer is option A, 90 hours beyond salesperson education. Broker-level preparation requires substantial coursework beyond the salesperson foundation. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. The additional requirement is not satisfied by repeating only the initial salesperson total. Question 2. A property manager is preparing for a brokerage audit in Battle Creek. Which statement correctly addresses a salesperson license application under the statutory employer structure, while the file concerns a cooperative unit, a fair-housing complaint record, and a team social-media post? Option A. The employing broker signs or approves the affiliation required for issuance. Option B. The applicant self-employs immediately. Option C. The county clerk becomes the employer. Option D. A home inspector signs as sponsor. The correct answer is option A. The employing broker signs or approves the affiliation required for issuance. The salesperson credential is issued within an employing-broker relationship. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Independent practice is not created merely by passing the examination. Question 3. Which Michigan requirement should control when a new applicant deals with a salesperson license as to legal form during a license application, while the file concerns a farm parcel, a brokerage policy manual, and a record inspection request? Option A. It belongs to the property being sold. Option B. It may be issued to any corporation. Option C. It is issued to a branch office. Option D. It is issued only to an individual. The correct answer is option D. It is issued only to an individual. Michigan treats the salesperson credential as an individual occupational license. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. A location or parcel cannot hold a salesperson credential. Stressed about your real estate? We can take real estate for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee A-Pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 4. At a renewal review, the brokerage discusses an associate broker's status. Which conclusion is most accurate, while the file concerns a lakefront cottage, a continuing-education certificate, and a branch-office distance issue? Option A. A broker-qualified individual working for another real estate broker. Option B. A salesperson with no broker qualifications. Option C. A county recording officer. Option D. An unlicensed assistant. The correct answer is option A. A broker-qualified individual working for another real estate broker. An associate broker has met broker licensing standards but practices through an employing broker. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. It is distinct from clerical assistance and ordinary salesperson status. Question 5. A compliance question in Kalamazoo concerns leasing or renting real property of others for compensation under a management contract. Which action or statement is appropriate, while the file concerns a townhouse, a closing statement, and a financing contingency? Option A. A building-code inspection. Option B. An owner's casual self-management. Option C. A title insurance service. Option D. Property management regulated as brokerage activity. The correct answer is option D. Property management regulated as brokerage activity. Managing rentals for another for compensation falls within Michigan real estate regulation. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Self-management and unrelated professional services are classified differently. Question 6. How should a Michigan licensee handle a situation involving the account used in operating managed property, while the file concerns a urban infill property, a fair-housing complaint record, and an unrepresented consumer? Option A. A personal vacation fund. Option B. A zoning appeal file. Option C. A property management account. Option D. A deed registry. The correct answer is option C, a property management account. Managed minus property money is handled through accounts dedicated to the property minus management operation. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Personal funds and land records do not serve that accounting function. Question 7. Which choice best applies the state rule concerning a right minus to minus list agreement that binds future owners for an excessive period to a transaction minus file review, while the file concerns a subdivision lot, a brokerage policy manual, and a confidential price limit? Option A, potentially unenforceable under Michigan restrictions. Option B, automatically superior to every mortgage. Option C, required in all residential sales. Option D, a substitute for a deed. The correct answer is option A, potentially unenforceable under Michigan restrictions. Michigan limits certain long minus term agreements that encumber future home minus sale listing rights. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. The arrangement is not a deed or a universal listing requirement. Question 8. A file from Pontiac raises an issue about the body created to regulate Michigan real estate brokers and salespersons. Which answer identifies the governing requirement, while the file concerns a rural acreage, a continuing minus education certificate, and a change of employing broker? Option A, the Michigan Board of Real Estate Brokers and Salespersons. Option B, the County Planning Commission. Option C, the Local Register of Deeds. Option D, the Federal Reserve Board. The correct answer is option A, the Michigan Board of Real Estate Brokers and Salespersons. Article 25 establishes a state board for the licensed brokerage professions. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. Local land offices and federal banking regulators perform different functions. Are you looking for real estate actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access real estate study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get real estate answer key today. Question 9. Before completing a team training, which rule should the employing broker apply to the department's role in professional licensing, while the file concerns a single minus family residence, a closing statement, and an owner minus licensee conflict? Option A, or record deeds for each county. Option B, set every property's market price. Option C, approve all private purchase offers. Option D, determine eligibility, issue credentials, and enforce the occupational code. The correct answer is option D, determine eligibility, issue credentials, and enforce the occupational code. The licensing department administers applications, examinations, renewals, and compliance. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. County recording and market valuation are handled through other processes. Question 10. A Michigan exam candidate reviews a scenario involving a listing agreement that discriminates on a prohibited basis. Which option reflects the current licensing framework, while the file concerns a small apartment building, a fair minus housing complaint record, and an expired license issue? Option A, the clause controls if the seller requests it. Option B, the discriminatory provision or conduct is unlawful. Option C, the clause becomes valid after advertising. Option D, the broker must follow it without question. The correct answer is option B, the discriminatory provision or conduct is unlawful. A client instruction cannot require a licensee to violate housing civil minus rights law. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Private preference does not override public legal protections. Question 11. The broker's policy manual addresses the standard salesperson license renewal cycle. Which provision should it contain, while the file concerns a office condominium, a brokerage policy manual, and a property minus management payment? Option A, 2 years. Option B, 5 years. Option C, 1 year. Option D, 3 years. The correct answer is option D, 3 years. Michigan salesperson credentials operate on a 3-year renewal cycle. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. The cycle length does not eliminate annual subject requirements within continuing education. Question 12. A regulator asks about the total continuing education expected within a full 3-year cycle during a brokerage review. Which response demonstrates compliance, while the file concerns a condominium unit, a continuing minus education certificate, and a delayed possession term? Option A, at least 12 clock hours. Option B, at least 40 clock hours. Option C, at least 18 clock hours. Option D, at least 6 clock hours. The correct answer is option C, at least 18 clock hours. A full renewal cycle requires 18 hours of eligible professional education. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Pre-licensure coursework cannot simply be relabeled as renewal credit. Question 13. Which statement would be safest for a new applicant to follow when the annual law minus related continuing education component becomes relevant, while the file concerns a retail suite, a closing statement, and a cooperating brokerage? Option A, 1 hour every 3 years. Option B, no annual subject requirement. Option C, at least 2 hours involving laws, rules, and court cases. Option D, 4 hours of appraisal each year. The correct answer is option C, at least 2 hours involving laws, rules, and court cases. Each year of the license cycle includes a real minus estate law component. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. General elective hours do not replace the designated legal instruction. Question 14. A dispute arises during a buyer consultation over the annual fair minus housing continuing education component. Which principle resolves the issue, while the file concerns a manufactured home site, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a rejected counteroffer? Option A, at least 1 hour involving fair housing compliance. Option B, no fair minus housing instruction after licensure. Option C, 3 hours of advertising only. Option D, 1 hour of tax preparation. The correct answer is option A, at least 1 hour involving fair housing compliance. Housing minus equality instruction remains an annual part of professional education. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. A general business course does not satisfy this designated subject by itself. Question 15. In Novi, a branch manager must decide how to proceed with the timing of continuing education in relation to online renewal. Which decision is consistent with Michigan requirements, while the file concerns a 2-unit rental, a brokerage policy manual, and an assumed business name? Option A, substitute a new licensing examination. Option B, complete education only if audited. Option C, renew first and complete education later. Option D, finish the required education before submitting the renewal. The correct answer is option D, finish the required education before submitting the renewal. The licensee must be able to truthfully attest to educational compliance during renewal. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. An audit is a verification mechanism rather than the event that creates the obligation. Question 16. Which exam answer accurately classifies the rule involving the record minus retention period for proof supporting a continuing education certification, while the file concerns a historic residence, a continuing minus education certificate, and a security minus deposit question? Option A, 1 year after the course. Option B, until the license card arrives. Option C, at least 4 years after the certification date. Option D, permanently with the county clerk. The correct answer is option C, at least 4 years after the certification date. Licensees are responsible for keeping acceptable evidence of completed renewal education. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Course providers or local offices do not replace the licensee's documentation duty. Question 17. A new policy is being drafted for the consequence of a license being revoked before a new application. Which language belongs in the policy, while the file concerns a student rental, a closing statement, and a dual minus representation concern? Option A, reapply immediately after paying a fee. Option B, wait at least 3 years after service of the final order. Option C, wait 30 days. Option D, complete only a transfer request. The correct answer is option B, wait at least 3 years after service of the final order. Revocation creates a statutory waiting period before a new license application. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. A routine transfer or fee payment cannot bypass the sanction. Question 18. During team training, the supervising broker tests knowledge of the education calculation for relicensure when expiration was less than 3 years ago. Which answer should the team select, while the file concerns a vacant commercial parcel, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a protected minus class inquiry? Option A, complete 40 hours for every missed month. Option B, complete 6 hours for each elapsed year or partial year. Option C. Repeat only the original exam. Option D. No education is required. The correct answer is option B. Complete 6 hours for each elapsed year or partial year. Recent Relicansure uses a year minus by minus year continuing education calculation. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. The original salesperson course is not automatically the only route in this situation. Stressed about your real estate? We can take real estate for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 19. A consumer asks the brokerage to explain the additional choices after a license has lapsed for 3 years or more. Which explanation reflects Michigan law, while the file concerns an industrial site, a brokerage policy manual, and a disputed repair credit? Option A. Meet the stated Relicansure education or examination pathway. Option B. Pay a late fee only. Option C. Use an employer transfer without review. Option D. Reactivate through a local association. The correct answer is option A. Meet the stated Relicansure education or examination pathway. A long minus expired credential requires more than a routine renewal transaction. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Local membership does not restore state authority to practice. Question 20. Which compliance step is required when the transaction facts involve regular contact between a broker and salesperson, while the file concerns a new construction home, a continuing minus education certificate, and an electronic signature, after reviewing a uniquely identified compliance note for Michigan Real Estate Record Retention Row 20? Option A. It may be prohibited by contract. Option B. It is replaced by customer reviews. Option C. It is optional after the first closing. Option D. It is part of the broker's required supervision. The correct answer is option D. It is part of the broker's required supervision. Supervision includes direct communication through an minus person or electronic means on a regular basis. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Private contracts cannot remove the broker's statutory oversight role. Question 21. A listing licensee notices a potential problem involving reviewing a salesperson's practice and transaction reports. Which response should occur first? While the file concerns a mixed minus use building, a closing statement, and a referral arrangement, after reviewing a uniquely identified compliance note for Michigan Real Estate Record Retention Row 21? Option A. It occurs only after a complaint. Option B. It is a required supervisory activity. Option C. It is performed only by the tax assessor. Option D. It is unnecessary for independent contractors. The correct answer is option B. It is a required supervisory activity. Broker oversight extends to how the salesperson performs regulated work and reports activity. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Independent minus contractor classification does not cancel licensing supervision. Question 22. The state portion of the exam presents facts about providing written operating policies and procedures. Which result is supported, while the file concerns a cooperative unit, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a team social minus media post, after reviewing a uniquely identified compliance note for Michigan Real Estate Record Retention Row 22? Option A. It is optional if the firm has a logo. Option B. It may be delegated to a buyer. Option C. It is part of adequate salesperson supervision. Option D. It is prohibited as legal advice. The correct answer is option C. It is part of adequate salesperson supervision. Written policies give affiliated licensees consistent directions for regulated activity. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Branding or client instructions cannot replace internal operating guidance. Question 23. Which brokerage practice properly addresses a contract clause that removes the broker's authority to supervise a salesperson in the Pontiac transaction, while the file concerns a farm parcel, a brokerage policy manual, and a record inspection request, after reviewing a uniquely identified compliance note for Michigan Real Estate Record Retention Row 23? Option A. The clause is valid if notarized. Option B. The clause is not permitted. Option C. The clause is required for contractors. Option D. The clause transfers supervision to the seller. The correct answer is option B. The clause is not permitted. Employment wording cannot strip the broker of statutory supervisory power. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. Notarization does not validate a provision that conflicts with licensing law. Question 24. A licensee is comparing 4 procedures related to mixing client transaction money with brokerage operating funds. Which procedure is lawful, while the file concerns a lakefront cottage, a continuing minus education certificate, and a branch minus office distance issue? Option A, a required interest allocation. Option B, commingling that can lead to discipline. Option C, a standard marketing practice. Option D, a permissible commission advance. The correct answer is option B, commingling that can lead to discipline. Money belonging to others must be accounted for separately from the firm's own operating cash. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. A business convenience does not justify blending the accounts. Question 25. At the end of a compliance interview, the parties question using money belonging to a client for the broker's own purpose. Which statement provides the best guidance, while the file concerns a townhouse, a closing statement, and a financing contingency? Option A, a comparative market analysis. Option B, a lawful prioration. Option C, conversion of entrusted funds. Option D, a disclosure waiver. The correct answer is option C, conversion of entrusted funds. Personal use of entrusted transaction money is a serious breach of accounting duties. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Closing calculations and valuation work are unrelated concepts.